DSI's Cisco Stealthwatch webinar. My name is Chris Eubanks. I'm the Program and Partner Alliance Manager here at DSI. DSI is an IT solutions company based out of Ashburn, Virginia, with offices across the United States. We were founded in 1991 by our current owners and have both SLED and Fed sales teams. Today we'll be talking about Cisco Stealthwatch, a security solution that provides you the visibility to know who is on the network and what they are doing using telemetry from your network infrastructure. I'm not going to get too into that because Marvin Rhoads will be taking the wheel from here. Marvin has been with us for over 4 years as a senior network security engineer. As you can tell from his title, security is his forte. Please type any questions you have for Marvin in the chat box located on the right side of your screen, and we will answer those post-presentation. This session is being recorded, and a link to this, as well as the slides, will be provided to all attendees. Take it away, Marvin.
Thank you, Chris. And just to verify, you did start the recording here this morning, so we can share this with folks afterwards?
Yes, we did.
Thank you, Michelle. And with that, I'll get started. Thanks for the introduction, Chris. As he mentioned, I am Marvin Rhoads. I've been with DSI about 4 years now, and I do all things security, specializing in Cisco network security products. Our engineers at DSI do both the pre-sales, things like this, as well as the post-sales. So we implement the solutions that we present to you. Cisco Stealthwatch, without further ado, is the product that gives you scalable visibility and security analytics. One thing that you all know is you've invested a lot into your IT infrastructure and security, yet threats are still finding ways to get through. And not only that, it often takes months, if not years, to detect threats. According to one recent report from 2018, the average time to detect a breach is 197 days, over 6 months. Very often, this is attributed to lack of visibility. Lack of visibility is a function of the growing network complexity as well as the constantly evolving threats. Security teams with limited resources, disjointed tools can only do so much. We all have security solutions, firewalls, web proxies, etc. But how do we know how well they're working? Are they managed properly? Are they configured properly? Do we know they're doing the job that we need them to do? Also, the network has expanded far outside the traditional perimeter, whether it's the more and more IoT or Internet of Things devices that are connected, a trend that's only going to accelerate in coming years. For instance, it's estimated by 2020, just next year, 1 million new devices will come onto the Internet every hour. 1 million an hour onto the overall worldwide network. Many of them your network may be communicating to. Also, the ability to work remotely from mobile devices is no longer just a perk, it's an expectation. Users now work from anywhere across multiple devices. And by 2020, it's estimated that 2/3 of all the IP traffic on the worldwide internet will come from wireless or mobile devices. And more of your workloads, things that you use in your organization every day, are coming not just from inside the network, inside your data center, but moving outside of your perimeter to the cloud. By 2020, it's predicted that up to 83% of enterprise workloads will be either completely or at least partially cloud-based. And finally, as that network expands beyond the perimeter, companies are faced with threats that are growing in number and increasing in complexity, a trend that recently culminated in 27.4% average increase in security breaches as recently as 2017. So those threats are continuing to get through. What Cisco has done is decided to turn the problem on its head. Why not list the rest of your network for security? Use that existing investment you have in routers and switches and firewalls, the network itself, to secure your organization. Those devices all have the capability of network telemetry. And what we're talking about here primarily is NetFlow, as well as some other telemetry information. It's a rich data source that can provide you useful insights about who's connected to the organization, what they're up to. Everything touches the network. So the visibility extends not just in your headquarters or at your perimeter, but through to the branches, to the data centers, to roaming users, to smart devices, also from the private to the public cloud. By analyzing this data, we can help detect threats that may have found a way to bypass your existing controls before they're able to have a major impact. This approach to advanced threat detection is integrated with your current infrastructure. It's agentless. We don't need sensors to deploy onto your machines, onto your host, onto your servers. And it's flexible in terms of deployment and consumption. We can do it on premises, we can do it in your cloud infrastructure, we can do it with hardware, we can do it with virtual appliances, Stealthwatch appliances that is, or software as a service hosted by Cisco. That solution is what Cisco Stealthwatch is. Effective security depends on that total visibility. We need to know every host, who's accessing which information at a given point. From there, it's important to know what's normal behavior for that particular user and establish a baseline from which you can be alerted to changes in the user's behavior the instant it happens. You have to have visibility into that entire network infrastructure and be able to take action quickly in order to minimize the impact of a threat on critical information. With Stealthwatch, you can gain total visibility across every security touch point. I'll talk a little bit more in detail about each of these points, but at a very high level, Stealthwatch helps you gain confidence in your security effectiveness by giving you that contextual network-wide visibility. We use the existing infrastructure, all your multiple network devices, routers, switches, firewalls, etc., or your cloud infrastructure. We use predictive threat analytics because attackers don't just do one thing, they do many different things. So we have to know how to analyze that very quickly and very intelligently using machine learning and predictive threat analytics. And also automated detection and response. You can't wait for someone to search for something and find it in your security team, if they even have the time and leisure to do that. We need to give you high fidelity alarms, put them right up front for you, prioritize them by threat severity, and allow you to take action on them. And Stealthwatch, like all Cisco security solutions, doesn't stand alone. Cisco has the premier portfolio in the industry for security. It's best of breed. It's an integrated architecture. It ranges from the next generation firewall, IPS, advanced malware protection, email security, security analytics, cloud access security, cloud lock, CASB, secure internet gateway, umbrella, policy and access with ICE, web security appliances, all tied together with the customer experience of Cisco sales and support. That what we do as partners, as well as what Cisco Tech provides. So the 3 points I talked about: contextual, network-wide visibility. Let's drill into that a little bit more to see exactly what we mean by that. So I mentioned Stealthwatch is able to ingest and analyze telemetry from multiple network devices, whether it's your routers, your switches, your firewalls. They all have capability to do NetFlow. We can also natively collect telemetry from public cloud infrastructure. So whether you're in Microsoft Azure, Google GCP, or Amazon AWS, we can collect the data from your public cloud infrastructure. And we use entity modeling to classify all the devices or entities, as we call them as Stealthwatch, connected to the network, whether they're servers, printers, end user workstations, IoT devices, etc. So we can determine what's the normal behavior of them. Once we know what's normal, we can know what's anomalous and give you an alarm on that. And another unique capability of Stealthwatch is that we stitch together flows from traffic, whether it's following asymmetric paths or it's hitting different touch points in the network, so that we can represent the entire end-to-end, the client-to-server communications. So we can not only detect a threat when it appears on your network, but we can provide you that additional contextual information about what's the source of the threat, where else might it have propagated, which user has been compromised, other information such as what's their location, what type of device are they on, what was the exact time of it. We can store that telemetry for a period of time so that you can do forensic investigations of past or long-running events, not only what's happening right now, but when did it start happening? What did it look like last week? What did it look like last month? So we also integrate with other security solutions, so we can infuse user and data application. For instance, if you have Cisco Identity Services Engine, we can pull the user information from ICE into Stealthwatch and give you that additional context. If you have a web security appliance, we can pull that information, or another web proxy, we can pull that into you to see about the websites the users may be, users or devices may be going to. So the evolution of enterprise telemetry. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, we work hard by collecting and analyzing a robust spectrum of enterprise telemetry. We grab NetFlow data from Cisco devices. We can grab SFlow and JFlow data. We can grab syslog. We can grab proxy server logs, ingest them all. By doing so, we'll give you the end-to-end visibility across your entire digital enterprise by using your existing network infrastructure. So we're not putting new products out there other than the Stealthwatch servers themselves. We're using the infrastructure you have and leveraging its capability to provide telemetry. So you don't need to deploy agents on your routers, your switches, your firewalls, your endpoints, etc. You just use what's built into them already and take advantage of their native capabilities. And also, we scale with your business across the endpoints, the data centers, the branches, and the cloud. Stealthwatch can scale very large. So whether it's at your headquarters, your branch networks, whether it's in virtual machines, whether it's containerized environments, whether you're AWS, GCP, or Azure, we can get network telemetry, cloud telemetry from all those and ingest them into the Stealthwatch console and give you that integrated contextual view. Again, not using sensors or agents. And even when it's a dynamic environment like Kubernetes or the public cloud where we're spinning up machines and spinning up services, we can automatically monitor everything. Even if there are ephemeral resources, if you're using advanced services such as serverless services or something like AWS Lambda, we can monitor even those sorts of environments. So, as I mentioned, you can identify every device on the network, what they're doing, where are they. And also remember, not all assets need to access every part of the network. The old days where the network was essentially flat and didn't have security separations are quickly becoming history. So for instance, you could place equipment running a legacy OS on one group, your critical servers in another. You could put groups up like servers, desktops, firewalls, IP phones, buildings, locations, put them all into different groupings and segmentation. By using a smart network segmentation strategy customized to your business, you can prevent threats from propagating within the network by controlling them at those integration points. An example of an ability that we have to detect anomalous behavior, for instance, if we saw remote desktop connections from a global perspective talking bidirectionally to a vending machine over RDP, something has really happened, it's been out there in a while. The vending machine had full access to the internal network due to lack of segmentation. Probably not a good idea. You don't want that vending machine to be able to access your internal critical servers with potential customer or private information on them. And how would you know if the policies on your network firewall were actually being enforced? Well, you could create a custom event within Stealthwatch to see if any policy violation was triggering on that event. Also gives you the ability to model a policy before you enforce it by using your firewall. You can say, hey, what if we put in this policy, what would be the effect on the network? Which flows would be blocked? Do we see existing flows that this policy would affect? By doing that, you could prevent the disruption of critical workflows before putting policies into place. So to recap, we provide end-to-end visibility, allowing you to identify and obtain actionable intelligence, allowing you to respond to threats quickly, further enhanced by the customer experience team and the services the team provides. And securing a specific network can't succeed with a generic and cookie cutter solution. So everything from your business's needs, the support infrastructure, the network activity can be very specific to your given business and network. By knowing who is accessing the network, you can then segment your network as needed. But segmentation is not always easy. It's not something you just want to jump in with your eyes closed. It's a process. And that's where we can help. Our team of experts works alongside you to design a long-term strategy for segmentation and provides a solution that allows you to continuously monitor your network so you can have visibility to enforce policy as needed. Everything that you need, the support infrastructure, the network activity can be incredibly specific to your business. That's why we focus on the outcome for each individual customer. We offer solutions to satisfy your specific integration needs. It also includes integrating with non-Cisco products. I mentioned earlier, we can ingest flow data not just from Cisco products, but other products. If you have Juniper, if you have HP, Aruba in your network, we can ingest information from them as well. So you have comprehensive visibility and are able to continue to monitor the effectiveness of your segmentation strategy. The other bullet we wanted to hit was those predictive threat analytics. What do we mean by that? Well, attackers use multiple methods to compromise your security. One defense technique is probably not going to be a silver bullet for you. In fact, nobody offers a silver bullet these days. Stealthwatch uses a three-pronged approach with predictive threat analytics so that we can detect those advanced threats before they turn into an actual breach. So first thing we do, behavioral modeling. Behavioral modeling is done by continually observing network activities to create a baseline of normal behavior, so that when there are any anomalies on up to about 100 different heuristics, we can see and alert you to those. We also have knowledge of known bad behavior from what has been seen in Cisco's cloud and security breach data. So if attackers are using lost or stolen credentials to gain access, or if you're dealing with a malicious employee involved in hoarding or exfiltrating sensitive data, Stealthwatch can alarm on it right away. Second, we apply a funnel of machine learning techniques to reduce large amount of telemetry to anomalies and eventually to high-fidelity threat detections, so your security team can focus on the actual critical threats. That cloud-based machine learning engine can also determine malicious servers across the world and flag any communication to those. So if you're going to any known bad servers anywhere in the world, Stealthwatch will flag that for you right away. And last, we use global threat intelligence. I mentioned that. It's powered by Cisco's industry-leading Talos platform, Talos Security Intelligence Research Group. So we can correlate those local threats globally and thwart attackers' rinse and repeat techniques. That's where they infect multiple victims with the same malware. All these analytical techniques work together to identify early indicators of compromise, or IOC, like constant pinging or beaconing, port scanning, communications to malicious domains, and so forth, so that we can detect threats before they turn into an attack. So this behavioral modeling that we do is by collecting your existing network telemetry, we optimize it, we apply those multiple heuristics or security events that are able to detect anomalous network behavior. We associate them with specific hosts. That gives us high-level alarm categories so that we can prioritize risk and troubleshoot issues easily. We have this complete and efficient data set. We collect the telemetry from the routers, the switches, the firewall, the data center, the cloud. Optimize that telemetry because we do deduplication of the data. If you're looking at flows from an edge switch, from a core switch, from a firewall, from a cloud, there's a lot of duplication there. Stealthwatch will automatically deduplicate that, stitch those flows together so we can see the traffic as it goes end to end across the network. We then create security events based on anomalous behavior, all those heuristics that are applied. We have a deep understanding of known bad behavior based on Cisco's observation analysis of all of its customers who are participating in the customer experience network. We are able to detect change in normal behavior using machine learning and put them into high-level alarm categories. So multi-layered machine learning, kind of a bit of marketing speak at first listening to it, but it actually does have a basis in how the Stealthwatch product works. We integrate with Cognitive Intelligence, a cloud-based multi-stage machine learning analytics engine. So we can correlate threat behavior seen in the enterprise with those that are seen globally by processing a massive amount of data in near real time to discover anomalous and malicious network activity that would be indicative of a breach in your enterprise. The system analyzer in Stealthwatch uses and analyzes user and device behavior so that we can discover malware infections, command and control communications, data exfiltration, potentially unwanted applications operating in your organization's infrastructure. We have multiple layers of processing. We apply a combination of techniques from AI, machine learning, mathematical statistics, so we self-learn your network behavior. So we gradually build this notion of what is anomalous. Then we classify those individual pieces of malicious activity so we can have a conviction of, yes, this device or user is infected with a new form of malware. And it's through that very careful analysis and correlation of multiple incidents on a global scale that we're able to bring small pieces of evidence into a high-fidelity detection. Again, you see that building up from the anomaly detection in the first layer, up through trust modeling, where we group together similar requests and come up with an aggregate anomaly score for those groups as a long-term average. More and more requests come in. Actually, the more data we get, the better our system gets because it's continually learning from all that data that's coming in. We classify events potentially as malicious. We model the entity to figure out what the actual incident is, not the event, but actually to give it some context and make it the incident. And then finally, relationship modeling. That's where we confirm it as a known, very high fidelity incidents. We link it to known malware campaigns, so we separate them from unknown threats that require different investigation and incident response processes. All that is done through this relationship modeling in the analytical model so that we can identify several independent threat actors using identical or similar malware components. We can distinguish between them. By building this relationship model, we allow you to map the full threat infrastructure of the threat campaign and put that into a global risk map that you'll see on your Stealthwatch console. It's the result of that analysis applied by machine learning algorithms on one of the largest data sets of its kind in the whole industry. For instance, right now, Cisco's Cognitive Intelligence Cloud is seeing about 10 billion with a B requests per day. And interestingly, 75% of those are HTTPS traffic, and another 25% of them is from NetFlow data that's being pushed up to the cloud. We see about 50,000 incidents per day, 1% of them critical, 9% of them high priority, 40% medium, 50% low. So we can get all of that data and use what other customers are seeing in order to better help you understand what's going on your network. One thing that's worth paying attention to is, what about encrypted traffic? Something we increasingly ask ourselves and our customers ask us. The rise of encrypted traffic is, of course, changing the threat landscape. Your business, with its growing complexity due to the large number of devices and applications accessing your network, is increasingly using encryption to security information. So it's a good thing. For instance, as of 2017, nearly half of all internet traffic was protected by HTTPS, SSL, TLS. The amount of encrypted traffic on your network will only continue to increase. Encryption, while enabling greater privacy and security, that's particularly necessary for mobile, cloud, and web applications. However, attackers are also using encryption. They use it to conceal the malware, to evade detection by traditional security products. So what used to be a safe and reliable protocol, SSL, HTTPS, has now become an opportunity for cyber criminals. In traditional threat inspection, we may have tried to do bulk decryption, then analysis, then re-encryption. It's really impractical these days, increasingly so, because of the tremendous cost and time overhead. As our connections get faster and faster, we just cannot keep up, and we can't be decrypting 10 gigabits per second of output through your network and then analyzing it and re-encrypting it at wire speed. And even when inspection is possible, solutions that decrypt network traffic, number one, they weaken the privacy to the user. So there's valid, legitimate needs for that. And we don't want to decrypt, for instance, users' medical data. We don't want to decrypt their banking data, other personal data. And it doesn't work for all types of encryption. As we move forward with TLS 1.3, it's not going to be subject or available to be encrypted the way the older TLS versions were. So what to do about that? Cisco, with its expertise in network infrastructure market, conducted extensive research on these trends and has introduced an innovative and revolutionary technology called Encrypted Traffic Analytics, ETA. ETA essentially uses new types of data elements that are independent of the protocol details generated by the new Cisco switches and routers. That would be your Catalyst 9K series. This new telemetry, or enhanced net flow, as it's called, is collected by Stealthwatch, which then applies those same machine learning techniques to analyze the encrypted traffic. How does that help you might ask? Well, two main customer use cases that we can address with ETA. Number one, cryptographic compliance. You may have compliance requirements to report how much of your digital business uses strong encryption, and can you audit it for policy violations of that requirement to use strong encryption? We can use ETA for that. The other way, in the security perspective, is to detect malware and encrypted traffic without ever having to decrypt it. So that addresses your need to know if a specific payload in network traffic is malicious while continuing to protect users' privacy and security. That is not having to decrypt. How do we do that? Is it magic? Not exactly. A lot of math, a lot of knowing how the network works. Really, there's three key actors that allow us to do analysis and discrimination of legitimate versus malicious traffic in an encrypted payload. We have that initial data packet. The initial packet of any connection contains a lot of information about the content. That initial data packet, or IDP, allows the analytics engine to look at the SSL headers of the HTTPS flows, for example, the application headers of related connection. So we can make the most then of the unencrypted fields, leverage those. What's in that TLS header? What is the TLS version? What does the certificate say about the organization, the issuer, etc.? All that is in clear text in that initial data packet. And then we have a sequence of packet lengths and times and byte counts. So we look at the size of the packets, we look at the timing differences to see what kind of content it is. Is this something that looks like user traffic, or is it something that looks like machine traffic or bad traffic? Command and control, for instance, data exfiltration. Use of self-signed certificates, not something we typically see on internet traffic. And then finally, we have this global risk map. That was where we took that multi-layer machine learning against all those data elements and more and made that global risk map. It maintains very broad behavioral statistics about the servers on the internet. Cisco picks servers that are related to attacks. They may be exploited or they may be used as part of an attack in the future. It's not a blacklist per se, but it's really a holistic picture of the server in question from a security perspective. We know if your user's traffic is talking to some of these servers, there's probably something that you would rather not be happening on your networking. We can alert to that very quickly. So the threat analytics, threat detection's power of Stealthwatch is really incredible. When it's been deployed and tuned to your network to meet your business needs, we enhance it with Cisco's customer experience team and the services we provide. Securing your network, just a generic cookie cutter solution is not always the answer. So your business needs, your support infrastructure, your network activity, all incredibly specific to your business. We offer proactive and ongoing engagements from both the initial installation to maintenance to troubleshooting issues to help you gain the most value from Stealthwatch as well as your other Cisco security solutions. Our professional services will help you install and set up and configure Stealthwatch, and the customer success operations team, whether it's a DSI staff or the Cisco TAC, can help you ensure that you're getting the maximum value out of your Stealthwatch purchase. The third bullet that I had in those earlier slides was this automated detection and response. What do we mean by that? Well, we have the context-driven enterprise-wide visibility and the application of advanced analytical techniques. So we have those high-fidelity advanced threat detection. So we can present those alarms to your security teams, prioritized by threat severity. We can give you additional information about them so you can take actions easily. You don't have to analyze large amounts of data to detect and investigate incidences. We can give you a notification and alarm table. We can generate an email. We can generate a syslog message to a SIEM. If you have a SIEM like a Splunk or a logarithm, that sort of thing. And you can quarantine identified threats. If we see a threat in Stealthwatch and you have ICE, if you have Cisco Identity Services Engine, we can tell Stealthwatch to communicate to ICE automatically on the back end and quarantine that endpoint that we're seeing malicious traffic to or from. So we have that deep visibility into the host and applications because we're seeing all that flow data. We can quickly identify where is the threat coming from. We can see all sorts of information about the user name, the MAC address of the machine, what type of device it is, what's its physical location, when was it last active, all the destinations it's talking to, whether they're inside or outside of your organization, the top security events for a host. You can drill right down with one click into the event details, associated telemetry. You can collect and store that data for audit trails, for deeper forensic, for investigations after the fact. And you have visibility to the applications passing through your network devices for reporting. If nothing else, it's useful, even if you're not having a security event, sometimes it's useful to understand how your network is being used. We can do that by reporting on those applications passing through the network devices because we have all that telemetry. And once an attack has been investigated, the source has been identified, we can quickly contain it. I mentioned earlier the ability to send out things, whether it's emails or notifications, syslog messages, or quarantine using something like ICE. So a typical workflow within Stealthwatch would be, this example would be data hoarding and data exfiltration. It might be the result of a malware attack or even an insider threat. So the security analyst sees that alarm on the Stealthwatch dashboard in the top left there. You click on the alarm, you see what the device is. The host report will tell us the host name, the location, MAC address, last seen, etc., any policies that are implied. Users are identified through integration with ICE, so we can see what user logged into that device when the alarm was triggered. We can see the traffic by peer host. Where has that host been sending traffic? Where has it been getting data from? Where is it sending it to? The application traffic window would show visibility into what data has been sent by which user. Where was it exactly? The analyst can then, if you don't want to do it automatically, can initiate a quarantine from the suspected host and segment it from the rest of the network, threat removed. And then after the fact, of course, you can do that. You can look into that telemetry. You can do an after-action report, and you can do a forensic investigation on the entire security event. The bottom line here is that we reduce that incident response time. It's not something you got to wait months or weeks for. We can do this in hours or even minutes in some cases. Another example, protecting those IoT, Internet of Things devices. They're becoming increasingly common. I see them in almost every customer environment we're in, whether it's something as simple as a security camera or something much more complex like medical device equipment, payment card scanners, all sorts of things, manufacturing equipment, barcode scanners, point-of-sale terminals. They're being added to corporate networks with often little to no regard to security. It's a function of both the buyers and the sellers usually not caring about security. It's just a novelty that they can get these things on the network. They're often Linux-based or Unix-based systems, and they're often targets of executable and linkable format binaries. They're very much less challenging to take control of a PC. There's very seldom any strong, if any, security on these devices. And they operate in a 24-hour basis, unattended often, so they can be called into action, for instance, as part of a botnet on a moment's notice. And since you can often or very seldom deploy endpoint agents on an IoT device, their network activity can, however, be monitored with Stealthwatch. And fortunately, they're often what we call static devices. They serve a specific function. They behave in a very predictable manner. So it's very easy to see when a device deviates from that static pattern. It can be easily detected, and it's often a sign of something malicious is going on. And in addition, earlier we mentioned network segmentation. With proper network segmentation, you can keep those IoT devices separate from critical or sensitive network resources. Very often, they have no need to talk to anything else on your network, or if they do, it's a very, very limited set. So with proper network segmentation, even if one does become compromised, an IoT device, it won't be able to access those sensitive resources. So it limits the threat's reach and gives you time to respond. So to recap, the threat detection and response power of Stealthwatch is incredible. It's more powerful when you utilize the services that we offer, integrated with the SIEM, integrated with proxy integration, so you get deeper visibility, improve your threat detection. Everything we can do to feed it data makes it a better product. And we also have a lot of learning opportunities that you can learn more about Stealthwatch. There are Cisco Learning Services offerings that give you either online classroom-based training or customized training in your environment. What are customers saying? A few quotes here. False positives, almost none. Went from no visibility to total visibility in no time. Very easy to deploy. Increased network visibility. We're seeing more threats and we reduce incident time. Visibility, visibility, visibility. That's what you hear over and over again about Stealthwatch. They've had things often in their network that have been gone undetected for a month or longer. All of a sudden, they were seeing them immediately with Stealthwatch. And security works together. All of the Cisco portfolio, Stealthwatch works with Talos, the Global Threat Intelligence Security Research Group, Cisco Security Packet Analyzer, Stealthwatch Cloud, as well as on-premises, Tetration Analytics to better secure your data center, Web Security Appliance, Umbrella, Cisco Umbrella Investigate, the former OpenDNS product, and products that you may have like ICE via PX Grid, TrustSec, security group tags or scalable group tags are consumable by Stealthwatch. And if you have AnyConnect deployed to your clients already, you can even make an endpoint be a Stealthwatch data source by generating NetFlow from AnyConnect using the Network Visibility Module or NVM on your AnyConnect clients. We can do that on an ad hoc or global basis. Stealthwatch, I mentioned, deploys in minutes in the cloud. Even easier to deploy it in the cloud than it is to deploy it on premises because it is integrated right away with whether it's AWS, Microsoft Azure, or GCP. And then we can have a very good response. Those high fidelity alerts you get on-prem with the Stealthwatch on-premise solution, we also get in the cloud, and you see all your activity. Even if you're multi-cloud, you're in multiple different public clouds, we can see all that activity through the Stealthwatch cloud offering. Key benefits: continuously monitor and detect. That's advanced threats. They may have bypassed existing security controls, or they may be threats that are originating from within your network and even remaining inside your network. That hostile insider, for instance, exfiltrating data, abnormal data flows. We focus on critical incidents, not noise. We have those high fidelity alarms because of all the advanced techniques that Stealthwatch offers, prioritizing them by threat severity, allowing you to respond quickly and effectively so you have that complete knowledge. You have the audit trails for forensics. We integrate with your existing controls. Leveraging your existing investments is a big one. We're using what your network is capable of already, just turning on features you may not be currently using. So your existing investment continues to give you to return, increases the return. scale with your business needs, as well as ensuring compliance. You may have policy violation alarms that we can tune to your business logic and use Stealthwatch as a compliance tool. I mentioned the professional services that we offer as a Cisco Master Security Partner, Cisco Gold Partner, learning services from Cisco and Cisco Learning Partners, as well as support services from the Cisco TAC. So how to get started? You can contact us, schedule a consultation with your Cisco representative. That would be your DSI account manager. You can sign up for a free visibility assessment. No charge for that. Cisco.com/go Stealthwatch free assessment and learn more. You can ask us individual questions. We'll open this up for questions that may have come in during the presentation or any that you want to ask now. You can always go to Cisco.com/go Stealthwatch.
All right, thanks, Marvin. Just a couple of questions here that came in. First one is, when a user or device is quarantined, can they still have limited access to the network?
Yes, they can. Quarantine is a term that sounds perhaps more draconian than what it is, but you can make a quarantine policy in Identity Services Engine or ICE to be whatever you want it to be. Quarantine could mean that we put it into a sort of a jail where no matter what they go to, they'll get a web page say your device has been quarantined, please contact IT support or security. Or quarantine could mean that we just restrict you from internal access and all you can get to is the internet or anything in between. We could actually shut you off the network and just make you a bit of a confused user. It would be very secure, but then it's probably still going to result in a call or maybe result in that user trying to get on the network another way and kind of bypassing. So normally we recommend a quarantine be to put that user into a restricted access subnet where they're given some notification that they're quarantined, but they're not kicked off the network altogether. But you can make it be what matches your security requirements in your environment. Great.
And then next question is, how long does it take to set up?
Stealthwatch is pretty quick and easy to set up. It's not quite as quick as Umbrella that we talked about last month, that we could set up literally in an hour. But we can typically set up a Stealthwatch, an on-prem Stealthwatch deployment that is, in less than a day and have it up and running by the end of the day for you and start gathering data from your network. There are, of course, more in-depth integrations we can do. It depends on really how many points of presence you want to leverage in your network, how much telemetry you want to do. But if you just want to grab, for instance, NetFlow data from your core switch or your edge firewall and feed it into Stealthwatch, we can do that, start it in the morning, and by the end of the day, you're already collecting data and getting useful information.
Great. The last question looks like one that might have been answered in the presentation, but how much will a trial of Stealthwatch cost?
Stealthwatch trial costs only the time that you need to invest in working with us to get it set up. There's no monetary cost for that. We offer that as a free service as a Cisco partner, and we're happy to do it with any of our customers, large or small. Just contact your DSI account manager, and we can get that set up for you.
Great. All right, thanks a lot, Marvin, and thank you all for joining us today. And if you have a few moments after this WebEx ends, there's a short survey that'll automatically pop up. We want to continue to provide great content for you, so we appreciate any and all feedback. And we'll make this WebEx available online, and we will also put it on our social media pages. Thanks so much, and have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.